Hello, this is Peter Combs, BidAmount.com and P.L. Combs Asian Art, and today is Friday, August 25th, 2017. We're heading into the end of summer, and the Asian art market's going to be getting pretty busy in the next couple of months. There's some great sales coming up, and we're going to talk about them, and we'll give you the information as they come along. And but before we get into the last week's newsletter, I wanted to mention a post we put on our other website on plcombs.com this week. This is our other site. It's under plcombs.com. And we did a bit on, we've done a lot, as you know, lately, videos on some of the auctions that are full of fakes and copies lately, and some of the shenanigans that have gone on with fake provenance and all this other stuff. And a few people asked me, they said, well, what do you do to avoid getting taken? What steps can you take if you're not an expert? And I thought about it, and I put together a post on it. And in here we go through some of the stuff, what the problem is, what the problems are with the fake market, and how they're getting into the United States, and what to look out for, and some common sense stuff. Some of the I call it more of the old school stuff about building a good collection and how to build one, and it has to do with relying on good sources and not deluding yourself. And I think it sort of sums it up pretty well. So if you want to read what I had to say, stop over to plcombs.com and take a look. It was a pretty good blog. The other thing I wanted to talk about today too was we're going to start with some of the things that are on. We start with items that have sold and just give you the prices. And this week I want to go through a little bit the other way and show you some of the things that are on there right now that will be on the newsletter this weekend, or they already are, that you might have missed. All right, there's some good things on there. All right, one of them, it closes on Monday, is this rather nice Kangxi bowl that we came across. Here it is, nice old bowl, nice Femi Vere bowl with gilding on it and so forth. It's got a little bit of wear, but it's a good early example. And our house collections has it. We're going to have that in the newsletter this weekend. And a really nice piece of Chinese silver with dragon handles and a dragon head lid on it. Nice, it's a sugar bowl, beautifully done. And what else? Let's see here. There's a nice piece of rose medallion coming up. There's a couple of good drags. Artsonsunlink.net's got some robes up. They run another 8 or 9 days. We're going to put those in. And here's another one from him. And this nice Tonshi bowl is on there right now, and closes in a few days. And another good silk an apron or a hanging, nice thing. He calls it a kisi panel. It really isn't. It's a needlework, stitchwork. But at any rate, it's different than a kisi. And this rather nice dead guy stuff has this. It ends on Sunday. It's up to $1,600, but it's a good looking buckle. Jade belt buckle. It's been mounted in silver. Nice old one, and well carved, good quality. All right, and then Ancient Arts has this ending on Sunday. It's a pretty good looking Wan Li plate. If you like Wan Li and late Ming ware, you might want to swing in and take a look at that. All right, and this is ending later today. Ancient Legends has had this up on all week, along with this teapot. This ends tonight. As does this really nice Kangxi tea caddy and so forth. And this ends also this evening from Ancient Legends, a good-looking transitional period Chongzhen double gourd vase. All right, and so let's hop over and see what some of the results were from last week. We had this rather nice dragon robe. You're familiar with these if you collect robes. You know this is a late 19th, early 20th century one with a silver metallic thread. Nice coloring on it. These are not as valuable as the typical dragon robes with gilt thread, but it's a nice one. They're very nice and well collected, and they hang well. They look terrific hanging on walls. And this one did pretty well. It was in very nice condition. It brought $2,370, which was a pretty good price for that. It's a nice example. All right, and then there was this rather nice Sing Fat pair of dragon balls. Nicely shaped. I like the shaped rims on these, and they had a bit of a gold wash interior. These were put up by Super Shrink. He's a very well-known silver dealer here in Massachusetts. He's very active. He also sells English and all kinds of silver. If you like silver, he's very worth keeping an eye on. Very much worth it. All right. And this sold last week, and it brought $346. I wasn't sure. I don't remember what it brought. This is a nice platter. It's a nice deer pattern platter, Chin-Lung period. Probably made about 1780, I would guess, judging by the decoration. The spotted deer under the pine tree. It's a nice example, a little bit different than most of them. And I like it when they center animals in these plates, like a single deer or a horse or a man with a donkey or something figural in there. And this was rather attractive, nicely composed charger or platter. Good to have lobsters off of a plate like that. And then our friend William over in the UK had this rather nice little Jade Canyon. Looks like she's carrying a rue scepter, nicely carved, 19th century jade, maybe a little older. And beautifully done, and it brought $956. Had nice color, and a very, very pretty little piece. And he also had this rather nice Chin-Lung cup and saucer set. Very pretty, nice looking set with figures within a very typical border. These sets were they were exported rather heavily into England for a short time. They became very popular, and they made teapots in the same pattern. And this did pretty well. It brought $359. If you're an 18th century ceramic collector, matching cups and saucers like this are pretty desirable. And then if you remember last week, we had another one of these boxes. If you're looking at saying, is this the same box? No, it's not. I had mentioned last week that these boxes typically had feet on them. And sure enough, this one came along from another seller. And these are what the feet look like. The one last week didn't have feet, and it sold for around $300 or $400. Here's one that had feet, very, very similar. If you remember the box from last week, this one still has its pewter liner. It's in better shape. Okay, it's in better condition. There's one crack on the top. All right, and it didn't bring $300. It brought $710. Condition and having original feet more than doubled the price. Also having the pewter liner is pretty nice too. All right, and there was this. This was a fragment of a rather nice on sort of an aubergine ground with a dragon on it, five-clawed dragon. Quite attractive. It probably came off of a hanging or possibly a robe, and was fitted onto a little frame here. But a very decorative piece, nice needlework, 19th century work, and it brought $550. But it was a nice piece of silk, and it looked like it was in nice condition. You always see things like this, and they're in good shape. You wonder what they were cut out of or why they did it. All right, and there was also this rather nice sort of almost an armorial-looking Chinese export plate. With this nice colors, a very broad outer rim with some grisaille decoration, good-looking Chin-Lung dish, and did pretty well. It brought $273. Very nice-looking plate, though. I like that. I like the color combinations. And there was this page turner, very nicely carved. This is a good 19th century carving, and the wood had nice color. Sometimes you will see very similar carving to this in jade. It was a popular scene of the woman with the two children. Sort of it looks almost like the Kuan Yin, but I don't think that was supposed to be what it was. And she's carrying a fan. And I like this. And it went for $287, which is not at all unusual for these. That's a very attractive piece of handwork. And here's the whole fan right here. You can see that they put precious objects up the handle and down the other side as well. And then down the blade rather, and the handle is wonderfully carved. All right, and it went for $287. So if you're out cruising around or you're at a yard sale or something, and you see one of these for $50 and you're wondering if it's worth it, and it's nicely carved, grab it. They're very collectible. All right, and then there was this very pretty late 19th century tile with spotted deer and inscription, nicely done, very attractive. Late 19th, early 20th century, and with some script and a seal. And it brought $698, which is not an unreasonable price for that. I think that was actually probably a rather good buy, actually. All right. And then there was this. A couple of people asked me why I put this in the newsletter last week, because it looked sort of modern. It is. It's Republican period, or Republic period, and but a very nicely done set of porcelain plaques. But when you look at the detail of it, the detail work was very good, especially this fine work over here on the side, how they did the rocks and how they colored them. This was a good painter, whoever it was. He was a later painter, but very good. And the shading of the pink and the rose was nice, and this selection of colors for this woman, for her collar, and so forth, and very well done. And here again, very, very skilled at painting rocks, beautifully done. And here's the back of it, so you can see that these are not ancient things. These are 19th century, early 20th century pieces, Republic, and it did very well. It brought $5,300. That's why I put it up. I thought it would do very well because the work was good. The work on this was very good. If this had been signed by a well-known, those of you that are familiar with Republican plaques, if this had been signed by a well-known Republican era artist, maybe with a little inscription, that set could have been worth over $500,000. The power of a signature. And then there was this little Buddha. I call these brick Buddhas because this patterning here on the robes looked like brickwork. And this was kind of surprising because a couple of years ago we had a bunch of these, and they all, if they're in good condition, they all brought anywhere from around $1,000 up to almost $2,500, $3,000, somewhere in that range. These Buddhas seem to have perhaps slipped out of favor a bit with Chinese market buyers. This was a nice one, very late 19th, early 20th century one, nothing unusual about it. It went for $405, okay? That was quite a difference from what we've seen in the past. And this seller, K2 Antiques, isn't a big seller, but he has nice things from time to time. So you might want to watch it if you're out at a show or someplace and you see one of these Buddhas and they're asking $600 or $800 for it. You might think about it if you're a dealer. You may not get your money back if that price is any indication. And then there was this rather nice Wan Li charger. This is a big dish and very nice colors. The plate had been extensively restored according to the listing. Here's the back of it. Nice looking back, nice decoration. You can see some of the restoration work up in here. This is restoration. He did show it if you know what to look for. But very good quality, big Wan Li plate. And I was curious to see how this would do because I like things like this that have been restored nicely for nice old pieces. And it did pretty well. It brought $2,225, which is a very good price but it's a big plate. Remember, this was 50 centimeters in diameter. So it was about 16 or so inches, 17 inches wide. But still, good price for that. And then there was this really charming little sort of Kangxi plate. Nice little Kangxi dish, very typical. Here's the back of it, the flower, and here's the back decoration, and typical Kangxi foot, but rather nice pattern on it. I thought this was attractive with the bugs and so forth. And it did well. It brought $326. This was this wasn't a big piece. This was a dish. I think it was about 6 inches in diameter. All right. And moving along now over to here was this was a piece that my friend William had up also. It was a nice little squared nephrite jade vase with a turned mouth and then obviously the slab carved body. Nice example, 19th century, but well done and pretty good color. I liked it, and it's a small bud vase, and it did all right. It brought $316. Okay. And that's about it for the week. We're a little short this week. We've got some things going on around here, and I'm slightly pressed for time today, so I apologize. But looks like things are getting busy again. eBay was kind of quiet over the summer, as you know, and it now appears that people are coming back from their holidays and vacations and so forth. And we also did a thing. This is the other thing I wanted to mention on the BidAmount site this week. We did a thing on elephant ivory poaching. There's been a debate. I've been involved with this with the Massachusetts legislature a bit, testified a few times at the Senate and the House about antique dealers' involvement with the ivory trade. And there was a report that was put out actually a couple years ago that didn't get much attention that I came across by an organization called Traffic. And they are the people who are a monitoring agency for this. They work with PETA and the World Wildlife Federation. And basically the reports in summation exonerated antique dealers and antique ivory from any involvement other than they could potentially be involved with illicit ivory trade. And those of you that are in the business or active collecting, you can certainly attest to the fact you don't see in the United States anyway, or in Europe, large amounts of modern carved Chinese-looking ivory floating around. Just doesn't happen. All right. But anyway, that's an article we did on that this week while we were in between things. All right. Listen, thanks so much for visiting. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.